Hi, welcome to the weekly news roundup. I'm Vida. Let's take a look at our top national and business story this week. Government highlights improvements as it responds to EU report. United States lambasted over new sanctions. Kem Sokha treason trial set for next month. King father's biographer donates historical materials to Cambodia. Kingdom's trade with Vietnam rises by 13.8%. Canadia bank signs healthcare package agreement. We begin with national. The everything but arms saga with the European Union will end in February after the European Commission makes decision the kingdom's preferential trade status. The EC on November 12 issued a preliminary report outlining rights improvements the government needs to make to retain EBA. On Thursday, the government handed its response to EU Ambassador Khmer Moreno. In it, it highlighted improvements to gender equality and labor rights in a bid to avoid EBA suspension. In a statement, the Foreign Affairs Ministry said, quote, "The royal government expects the EC will take into consideration the government's good efforts to implement all relevant international conventions under the EBA regulation, the potential social impact of nearly 1 million female workers and the indirect effect on families and relatives supported by these worker wages, as well as respect the principle of sovereignty and non-interference into Cambodia's internal affairs." The EC in February launched a period of intensive monitoring and engagement. It said the government must restore democracy and the rule of law while respecting human rights and fundamental freedoms. The EC was referring to the dissolution of the CNRP and Kem Sokha. Prime Minister Hun Sen on Wednesday reiterated the kingdom will not fall to EU demands. He said the government cannot interfere in the judicial system to have charges dropped against Kem Sokha.
អត់យកអធិបតេយ្យជាតិទៅដោះដូរជាមួយជំនួយឬក៏ភាពអនុគ្រោះពីណាទាំងអស់អ្វីដែលធ្វើបានអ្វីដែលធ្វើមិនបានគឺអត់ណាអ្នកដែលគេមកនិយាយគឺថាប្រជាធិបតេយ្យត្រូវតែគោរពច្បាប់ខ្ញុំឯកភាពតែខ្ញុំបានបញ្ជាក់ថាគោរពច្បាប់ត្រូវតែគោរពច្បាប់ជាសកលគេថាពាណិជ្ជកម្មត្រូវតែគោរពច្បាប់ខ្ញុំឯកភាពប៉ុន្តែត្រូវតែសកលប្រជាធិបតេយ្យឬសិទ្ធិមនុស្សឬពាណិជ្ជកម្មត្រូវគោរពច្បាប់ប៉ុន្តែมันអាចយកច្បាប់នៃក្រុមមួយឲ្យក្រុមមួយទៀតគោរពទេគឺច្បាប់នេះត្រូវចេញពីធម្មនុញ្ញសហប្រជាជាតិ
The relationship between the United States and Cambodia has had ups and downs in the past few years. Relations began to deteriorate in the lead-up to last year's national election. Last month, President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Hun Sen exchanged letters and committed to restoring trust. However, the Foreign Affairs Ministry earlier this week expressed its dismay over recent U.S. sanctions against a high-ranking government official and a well-known tycoon. The U.S. Treasury Department on Monday said sanctions were imposed against Senior Minister Kun Kim, former Chief Joint of Staff of the Royal Cambodian Armed Forces. The department also said it imposed sanctions against tycoon Tri Phiep. The department alleged Mr. Kun, quote, used all-cap soldiers to intimidate, demolish and clear out land sought by the PRC-owned entity, while it said Mr. Phiep allegedly built a large-scale illegal logging consortium that relies on the collusion of officials. The sanction also reached members of Mr. Kim's family and 11 registered entities belonging to Mr. Phiep. On Monday, the Foreign Affairs Ministry said the move undermines efforts to mend ties between the two nations. It said, quote, Kun Kim is well known for his great contribution to the protection and the maintenance of peace, stability and social order, while Oknya Tri Phiep has played an active role in supporting Cambodia's social-economic development. It added it is an ambush against the ongoing efforts to restore trust and confidence between Cambodia and the United States as reflected in the recent two-way communications, referring to Mr. Trump's and Mr. Hun Sen's letter. Regarding the former opposition party, Phnom Penh Municipal Court earlier this week set January 15 as Kem Sokha trial. Sokha was arrested 2 months before the dissolution of the CNRP and charged with treason for allegedly colluding with the US. Municipal Court spokesman Iran said Judge Koisa will preside over the hearing next month. The date was fixed as the appeal court turned down a request by Sokha lawyers for the Municipal Court to drop his treason charge. Cholio Achelder know the kingdoms inside out. For those who may not know, Mr. Cheddar was King Norodom Sihanouk's biographer and former secretary. Earlier this week, Mr. Cheddar donated 1.5 tons of documents and materials he collected and drafted over a span of 50 years. The Documentary Center of Cambodia said the donation include diaries, declassified diplomatic reports, and personal papers. He also donated CDs and vinyls of classic music. DCCAM said it will digitize them and place copies in 6 provincial research centers. It said, quote, "It is to improve the effectiveness of teaching Cambodian contemporary history and in particular the Khmer Rouge period. DCCAM is exceptionally grateful for an honor by Mr. Chelder's generous donation." Mr. Chelder said the documents and materials will be useful for students and academics. He said the most interesting documents are on King Sihanouk in the 1950s and 60s as he tried to secure peace in the kingdom. On to our top business stories this week. Local media is reporting trade with Vietnam has reached $4.4 billion. The rise comes close to their joint $5 billion target to be achieved by next year. Both governments have committed to increasing trade volume. The local media reported the Vietnamese Chambers of Commerce earlier this week said there are 214 of its projects in the kingdom, amounting to $3 billion. Cambodia, on the other hand, has 21 investment projects in Vietnam worth $64 million. Vietnamese investment in Cambodia is mostly in agriculture, forestry, insurance, and banking. There is also substantial Vietnamese investment in IT, aviation, construction, transportation, real estate, manufacturing, and processing. The Malaysian Healthcare Travel Council has signed a memorandum of understanding with Canadia Bank, one of the kingdom's largest banks. The MOU will provide Canadia Bank's customer with a healthcare package tailor-made by the council. Nick Asman, MHTC Chief Commercial Officer, said, quote, "Being awarded by the best healthcare system in the world for 4 years in a row proves that Malaysian healthcare is well regarded by many." She went on to say the number of Cambodian tourists coming to Malaysia for medical treatment has increased 150%. Ms. Yasmin noted cardiology treatment and preventive health screening as credited for the increase. She said Malaysia offers many medical treatments, while traditional care is also available for recovering patients. Ms. Yasmin told the Khmer Times she expects to see a similar growth in Cambodian tourists coming to Malaysia for medical treatment when the partnership with Canadia Bank comes into effect. CEO of Canadia Bank, Raymond Sear, said the opportunity to work with the council was an honor. Mr. Sear said the bank has been committed to ensuring its customer wealth is safe and it can make sure their health is in good hands. That is all for this week. Join us again for another episode of the Weekly News Roundup. I'm Vida on behalf of the team. Have a good weekend.